Hey guys, what's going on? I literally just walked in the door. I normally shoot these on my walk home, but it was way too windy. I couldn't even hear myself in my headphones, so I knew it wasn't going to do well. So you guys get the in my house version of our video today. So here's what's going on. We were talking about doctrine. If you want more of that or a better understanding of what I mean by the word doctrine, there's a few videos up already. They should be helpful. If you have any more questions, let me know. I just don't have time to run into it because I try to keep these videos short. All right, so the doctrine we're talking about is God speaks. God speaks to his people. He speaks to those that seek to listen. The Bible mentions over and over again, those who have ears, let them hear. And what that means is that it's on us to hear this. Like, it's on us to actually take this and apply this and do something with it, not just let it fall on deaf ears. If you teach at all, you know what I mean by telling somebody something and them listening and hearing you and going, oh, I got you, and then not doing it. So God speaks, all right, and primarily he does that in general revelation. We talked about that, nature, and how God's created the world and all the beauty and greatness that's in that thing, okay? And then in special revelation, God speaking to us in his word. And it's full of really crazy, awesome stories about giants and about David and Goliath and about resurrection from the dead and all these things that most people would go, that doesn't make sense. It can't be true. That's like science fiction-y nonsense. Let us not forget that we live on a ball of molten lava that's traveling around a blazing a plasma gaseous ball at about Mach 63 in a void, okay? So that sounds outer spacey and fictiony to me, and yet that's the reality in which we live. We live in a world where an insect can get real fat and hungry, eat it, go on an eating binge, wrap itself up in a nice little house called a cocoon, liquefy itself, and then in about a week pop up into something that's beautiful and has wings, okay? So before we go, well, that doesn't make any sense, that's all hearsay, let's look at the craziness that is our world, that we just go, well, that makes sense because I've seen it more often than a dead guy coming back to life, all right? So the last thing I want us to talk about in talking about God speaking to us is how we have different Bible versions. That's something that can be very confusing. All right, if you go to get a Bible, you're probably going to see Holy Bible written on it, and then either on the cover or on the spine, you're going to see three letters, probably like an ESV or a KJV or an NIV or something along those lines. Why is that? Okay, and the real simple answer, and I'll go into more detail, is because of language. That's why, okay? The Bible wasn't written in Greek. It doesn't have a southern twang to it, or it wasn't written in English. It was written in Greek. It wasn't written in English. It doesn't have a southern twang to it. It was written in a different language. At least 2,000 years ago, most of the stuff further back than that, okay? And so it was written primarily in Greek, the New Testament, and in Hebrew, the Old Testament. And if you've taken a foreign language, you know that languages, they don't connect word for word, but that doesn't mean that we don't completely understand each other, okay? So let's just take the most basic that we would know, Spanish, okay? So how do you say Spanish, or how do you say thank you in Spanish? You say gracias. But wait a minute, that can't be a word for word translation because we say two words, thank you, and they say one, gracias. Or how do you say you're welcome after someone says thank you? Someone says gracias to you, what do you say? You say de nada. That means you're welcome. But it's not literally you're welcome. I mean, the most literal translation of that would be of nothing. So when someone says thank you, their actual reply is, oh, it's nothing. Don't worry about it. But we don't say that. Okay? So language doesn't walk like that. It doesn't work like that. And so, because the Bible is written in a different language, there's different ideas and different preferences in how certain words and certain phrases and certain letters, certain chapters, if you will, of the Bible should be conveyed back to us in English. Okay, so you have word-for-word translations that try to, as best they possibly can, take every little word and give it to us verbatim. So they would be the type of people that don't translate de nada as you're welcome. They would translate it as of nothing. ESV, King James, NASB, or the NASB fall into that line. Okay? The NIV is more of a paraphrase. Okay? It's more of a thought for thought. So if you want to convey good poetry, poetry's not mostly about the words that they use. It's about the feeling that it gives you. And so NIV doesn't just take each word, but it takes a whole sentence or a whole paragraph, and it tries to give you what the author's trying to say in that. Okay, and that's, like I said, like the NIV. And then there's like the Living or the Message, and those are more paraphrases, almost even commentary-ish. Okay, and so what they do is they take a thought process that is from another culture in another language, try to cipher it through either through one brain, some guy translating it, or a team of translators, and go, what would that look like in 21st century English speaking, primarily America, since that's where we live, and they give you that as a paragraph. And so that's why we have different versions. I would say, as long as we're trying to seek God and reading what we believe to be His Word, you're going to be all right. I would try as best as I can to get off the Message or the Living, not because they're bad or wrong, but because if my wife is speaking to me, yes, I want to know the general idea of what she's saying, but I want to know every dot and tittle, every juicy bit of what she's trying to say to me. And the NASB, the NASB, the ESV, the NIV, I think are going to help you more with that. If you have any questions about this, love you guys, let me know.